Hello, I'm Greg Jarrett. You are in the strategy room. While much attention has been placed on former Governor Jeb Bush in recent weeks for the GOP nomination, the prospects of current Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker running in 2016 has really stirred some momentum toward his potential campaign. Here now to talk about it, political strategist Jessica Tarlov and Liz Peek. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
The knock on Scott Walker was that he was charismatically challenged. However, he gave this rousing, fiery speech a couple of weeks ago at the Iowa Freedom Summit. Did that change some minds, do you think, Jessica?
I think it did, but I think it's really early.
Yeah.
And, I mean...
less than a year from the votes cast in the Iowa caucus.
Still early, but also, I mean, we have a really uncharismatic field generally.
Really?
So, I mean, I think so. I mean, for Jeb Bush to be the leader within just a few percentage points, who's decidedly not charismatic.
Is this the Hillary Clinton charismatic scale, or what?
Yes, that's what I live by.
Okay.
Everyone else looks bad.
Yes. So I guess we don't have to say anything else.
Exactly.
Hillary wins, and that's the end of it.
Why discuss the Republican platform?
I don't know.
I think he did change some minds, and I think he's been doing a lot, and he's shown how much of a fighter he is, which I think is what really appeals to Americans.
Yeah. Did the three serious contests that he beat back, including, or maybe in addition to the recall election, burnish his image in some ways?
I think absolutely. If he's a fighter, that's where we've seen that, right? First of all, we should note that the poll, everyone got very excited about the poll after his Iowa speech. From what I saw, it was within the margin of error. So I thought that was kind of comical, honestly.
It's all, yeah.
But I would introduce a new idea here, which is this is an election we're going to have a lot of conversation about the middle class. Who can really speak to the middle class? Who has programs for the middle class? I wrote something not long ago about how the candidate for the Republicans really has to be someone who can engage in that conversation from the heart, right?
Right.
I actually don't think that is Jeb Bush. I think Mitt Romney would have been a disaster. We've seen that he cannot really talk to people who are worried about putting bread on the table. I think it has to be a self-made man. Scott Walker is in that category. He came from kind of nothing, as we all know. He didn't even graduate from college, which is probably, I think it's the first time since Harry Truman that we have a non-college graduate in the mix.
Right.
And I think it's a very powerful thing. Every landslide election in the history of the United States has gone to a self-made man. That is a story Americans like and we celebrate. He can talk about opportunity and all kinds of things. By the way, it's not just him. Kasich also, Christie also came from humble beginnings or whatever.
Sure.
I think those things are very powerful, and with all due respect, I don't think Hillary is in that. I mean, she didn't come from a very wealthy beginning, but
it's not the same
thing. It is not the same thing.
I don't think any Democrat would argue.
Yeah.
It's the same
I think
thing.
she has
Slow up the
there.
Real Clear Politics poll average, and again, it's obviously quite early. It's a crowded field. There are roughly 12 candidates so far who seem to be dipping their toes. Bush has 16%. He's on top. Chris Christie and Mike Huckabee 9%, Rand Paul and Ben Carson 8%, Walker way down at 5.8%, sort of in the middle of the pack. So nationally, at least, he's got a ways to go for name identification.
Absolutely, but he has time, and he's on this trip right now to the United Kingdom, which
he
says is all about.
I'm going to go there soon. So
actually, I'm going for my birthday.
Me too. We can all get together there. Marvelous.
But I would argue that looking right now at national polls is not nearly as instructive as looking at Iowa and New Hampshire.
Right.
I mean, we did something for this about Elizabeth Warren versus Hillary Clinton, where my firm looked at what was going on in Iowa and New Hampshire, and that's a much tighter race actually between her and Hillary Clinton than the national polls reflect.
Interesting.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
I think Liz Warren is a very serious candidate. Whether or not she's,
I don't think she's going to be though.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
do we really think to just in terms of raising money and big time donors?
Well,
can
Obama seems to be that that he'd lend her his infrastructure. I mean, Hillary Clinton has picked up some of his staff for sure, but when you have Move On sending you Elizabeth Warren emails, you know where they're coming from.
I think if she wanted to throw her hat, have you seen her? She is so much more energized.
Look at her in Iowa.
She looks 15 years younger than Hillary. She's 1 year younger. I mean, it's amazing. Hillary just strikes me as tired.
Now, we say that about a man. Oh, he looks so much younger than.
Well, but we would say maybe he's too overweight to run. I mean, we talk about men in a similar...
We talk about Chris Christie's waistline?
We do. I talk about it all the
Really?
time. Don't you?
True.
I don't think...
We talk about health.
I've ever mentioned it before.
Oh, well, now you have.
Real quick, I find it interesting. You think that Scott Walker's lack of a college degree could be an asset as opposed to a liability? And mind you, most voters don't have college degrees.
I think it appeals to the common man. I mean, the average American.
Right.
Do
But
I think?
Republican policies don't is the problem.
Well, we'll have to talk about that
Yeah.
again because
Right.
actually the polling on a lot of things, as you know, is not nearly as decisive as I think Democrats would like you to think. Abortion being a good example, but I hope we don't talk about abortion at all in this
That would be
upcoming
nice,
election.
yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, it would be a nice change of pace
But
in
I'm
my
not-
lifetime. Liz Peek, Jessica Tarlov, good to see you both. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
And make sure to check out the politics section on foxnews.com. I'm Greg Jarrett. Thanks for watching.